God says, I want you to be with this person. Do not scroll past this moment, because what you are about to hear can shift the direction of your life. If you ignore it, you may miss something deeply precious meant for you. I am speaking to your heart with clarity and intention. This is not confusion or coincidence, but a calling placed inside you for a reason. I want you to be with this person. The connection you feel is not random. It is guided and protected by my hand. Something is unfolding that you cannot fully see yet, but it carries purpose, growth, and a future aligned with what I have prepared for you. Stay attentive, because understanding this now will save you from doubt later and open a door you have been praying for. Type amen to affirm, I am placing this person in your path not to confuse you, but to awaken something within you at the right time. You have questioned your feelings, wondering if they are real or just passing. But what you feel carries depth, meaning, and direction. I do not move without purpose, and I do not bring people into your life without reason. This connection is not by chance. It is shaped by alignment, timing, and quiet preparation behind the scenes. Trust that I see what you cannot, and understand what you do not yet see. There were moments when fear made you pull back, when your past made you cautious. But I am not asking you to walk blindly. I am asking you to walk with me. I am guiding you step by step, even in uncertainty, and I will not lead you into harm. What is happening in your life is intentional, and every step toward this connection is part of something working in your favor. You are not alone in this. This person carries something that speaks to your soul, even if you cannot fully explain it. There is familiarity, a sense of peace, and at times a challenge that pushes you to grow. That is not accidental, it is purposeful. I am using this connection to shape you, strengthen you, and bring out a version of you you have not fully stepped into. Do not run from what feels intense, because sometimes intensity is a sign that something real is happening. I know you have questions and are trying to understand how this will unfold, but you do not need every answer right now. What you need is trust, patience, and the willingness to follow my direction. I am not asking you to rush or force anything, only to stay open, pay attention, and let this connection grow under my guidance. What is meant for you will not slip away, and what I build will stand. There are moments ahead where you will see signs that confirm what you are feeling now. Small details, unexpected conversations, quiet realizations aligning in ways that show this is real. I will speak through those moments and reassure you when doubt returns. Do not ignore them. They are reminders that you are on the right path. This is not about perfection or finding someone without flaws, but someone who fits your journey and brings balance, growth, and purpose. It may not be easy, but it will be meaningful. This connection has the potential to become something strong and lasting, reflecting the love and care I have for you. You have spent time waiting and wondering if what you desired would ever come, longing for someone who truly understands you. I have seen those moments and heard those thoughts. This is part of my answer. Even if it does not look how you expected, stay grounded in me, because your strength comes from your connection to me, not from any person. When you keep me at the center, everything else will find its place. I will guide your steps, protect your heart, and give you clarity when you need it. You are not alone in this, and you are not left to figure it out by yourself. What I am doing in your life goes beyond logic. It touches your spirit, aligns with your purpose, and carries a future still unfolding. Do not let fear silence what I am speaking, and do not let doubt take away what I am giving you. You are chosen, guided, and being led into something greater than you can see. When something is from me, it does not need constant proof. It carries a quiet strength that remains even when circumstances change. Pay attention to that steadiness, because it is how I confirm my guidance. There will be moments when you question it and try to step back to protect yourself. I understand why, because your past taught you to be careful, but not everything new is meant to repeat old pain. This is not a cycle returning. It is a new path opening. You are not the same person you were then, and this is not the same situation. Type 1010 if you trust God. I am not just preparing a person for you, I am preparing you for the person. Before the manifestation comes the transformation. You have asked for a soul-deep connection, but a soul-deep connection requires a soul that is healed. In this moment of stillness, I am reaching into the places where the old versions of you still hide. I am removing the residues of bitterness and the echoes of voices that told you that you were too much or not enough. This person is coming to meet the version of you that is whole, not the version of you that is searching for a half to make a whole. Do not mistake the delay for a denial. The delay is the workshop. I am sharpening your discernment so that when they stand before you, you recognize them not just with your eyes, but with your spirit. Now, listen carefully, because this is where most people get it wrong. You think preparation looks like progress you can measure. More discipline, better habits, cleaner routines. But what I am doing in you does not always look like improvement on the outside. Sometimes it looks like interruption, like plans falling apart, like people walking away, like conversations ending without closure. That is not randomness, that is removal. You asked for something real. Real cannot be built on what is unstable. So I begin by clearing what you thought you needed, that friend you outgrew, that pattern you keep repeating, that need for approval you still negotiate with. I don't ignore those things. I confront them, and you feel it. You feel it in moments when you react faster than you want to, when jealousy shows up in places you thought you had healed, when silence feels heavier than noise. That's not failure. That's exposure, and exposure is necessary before transformation. Let me make this even clearer. If I gave you the relationship now, without this work, you wouldn't recognize it. Or worse, you would damage it trying to protect yourself. You would test them, pull back, overanalyze small shifts in tone, confuse peace with boredom, confuse intensity with connection. So I don't rush. Because I am not just bringing someone into your life, I am building your capacity to hold what you asked for. Now, pause, because this next part matters. Transformation is not loud. It doesn't always feel powerful. Most of the time, it feels inconvenient. It's choosing not to send that message. It's sitting with discomfort instead of escaping it. It's telling the truth when a lie would be easier. Small moments, quiet decisions, but they stack, and slowly something shifts. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop chasing what is unclear. You stop negotiating your worth. That's when you're getting close. Not when you feel desperate. Not when you feel lonely. But when you feel steady. When your peace is no longer dependent on who stays or who leaves. That is the version of you they are coming to meet. Not the one trying to be chosen. The one who already knows they are. And this is why the delay feels longer than you expected. Because you are not being prepared for something ordinary. You are being prepared for something that requires alignment, not just attraction. So I refine your attention. You begin to notice things you ignored before. How someone handles frustration. How they speak about people who are not in the room. How they respond when they don't get their way. These details matter, because discernment is not about what feels good in the moment. It's about what holds over time. And I am training you to see that. Not through theory, through experience. Through the conversations that don't sit right. Through the connections that almost work, but don't. Through the patterns that repeat until you finally choose differently. That's the workshop. Not comfortable, but precise. And here's where the rhythm changes again. Stay with this. You are not waiting. You are becoming. There's a difference. Waiting feels passive. Becoming is active even when it looks still. Every boundary you set, every time you walk away instead of holding on, every moment you choose clarity over confusion. That's construction. You don't see the full structure yet, but it's being built. And the person you're asking for? They're going through their own process, their own corrections, their own removals, their own confrontations with truth. Because alignment is not one-sided. When you meet, it will not feel chaotic, it will feel clear, not perfect, but clear. You won't have to convince yourself. You won't have to decode everything. There will be space. There will be honesty. There will be a rhythm that doesn't exhaust you. And you'll recognize it. Not because it overwhelms you, but because it doesn't. That's the shift. So don't rush this. Don't try to force timing, because forced timing creates fragile connections, and fragile things don't last. What I am building in you is not fragile. It is stable, it is aware, it is grounded. And when the moment comes, you won't just see them. You'll know, not from pressure, not from fear, but from a quiet certainty that doesn't need to prove itself. That is what I'm preparing you for. Not just a person, a connection you can actually sustain. I am doing a work that goes back generations. The patterns of heartbreak that followed your mother, the silence that filled your father's house, I am breaking those chains through you. You are not here by accident. You are the interruption, the point where repetition ends. Think about it. The arguments that never got resolved, the love that was present but never expressed, the tension that sat in the room, even when no one spoke. You grew up learning things without anyone teaching you. How to stay quiet, how to keep the peace, how to carry what was never yours. And now you wonder why connection feels complicated, why you overthink simple things, why closeness sometimes feels like pressure instead of peace. That didn't start with you, but it can end with you. That's why this moment matters. Because when I say I want you to be with this person, I'm not talking about chemistry, I'm talking about correction. A shift, a different pattern being introduced into your life. But here's the part most people don't expect. Breaking generational patterns doesn't feel powerful at first. It feels uncomfortable. It looks like doing the opposite of what feels natural. Speaking when you would normally shut down. Staying when you would normally run. Walking away when you would normally chase. That tension you feel? That's the old pattern losing control. And you're right in the middle of it. Now, stay with me, because this is where your attention usually drifts. You've been trained to recognize intensity, butterflies, confusion, highs and lows. You thought that meant connection. It didn't. It meant familiarity. And familiarity is dangerous when it's rooted in dysfunction. So I let you experience it. Not to hurt you, but to show you. The person who kept you guessing. The one who only showed up when you pulled away. The one who made you question your worth without ever saying it directly. That was not the promise. That was the contrast. Because you can't recognize something real if you've never seen what false looks like up close. So I allowed the almost relationships, the almost commitments, the almost clarity, not to waste your time, but to train your discernment. And now something is changing. You're not impressed as easily. You don't chase the same way. You notice inconsistency faster. That's growth. That's preparation. Now let's shift the rhythm again. Stay sharp. When I say you will create a new legacy together, I don't mean a perfect relationship, I mean a different one. One where communication doesn't disappear during conflict, where silence isn't used as punishment, where love isn't something you have to earn every day, but you don't build that by accident. You build that by awareness, by catching yourself in real time, when you feel the urge to shut down and choosing to speak instead, when you want to assume the worst and choosing to ask instead, when your instinct is to protect and choosing to be honest instead. That's how patterns break. Not in theory, in moments. Small, uncomfortable, specific moments. And this person? They're not coming to complete you. They're coming to meet you at that level, where growth is mutual, where honesty is normal, where effort is consistent, not conditional. But understand this clearly. They won't feel like your past, and that might confuse you at first, because peace can feel unfamiliar when you're used to chaos. Consistency can feel boring when you're used to unpredictability. You might even question it. That's the test. Not whether it excites you immediately, but whether it holds steady over time. Now, one more shift. Don't miss this. The enemy doesn't always show up as something obvious. Sometimes it shows up as distraction. Someone who almost fits, almost understands, almost commits. Just enough to keep you occupied. Not enough to move you forward. That's the counterfeit. It looks right on the surface, good conversation, strong chemistry, shared interests. But underneath, no alignment, no stability, no future. And if you're not paying attention, you'll mistake access for intention. So I slow things down. I remove people. I create distance. I disrupt what you were about to settle for. Not to take something from you, but to protect what I'm bringing to you. Because the real thing doesn't require confusion to survive. It doesn't need guessing games. It doesn't depend on emotional highs to feel alive. It builds. Steadily, clearly, intentionally. And when you step into it, you won't feel like you're chasing. You'll feel like you've arrived at something that was being prepared long before you recognized it. That's the difference between a spark and a flame that actually lasts. There is a reason I am whispering this to you in the quiet. Not everything important arrives with noise. Some things come softly, because noise would expose them too early. Not everyone is assigned to your future, so not everyone can handle your becoming. Some people only knew the version of you that was unsure, the one that second-guessed everything, the one that needed approval. They don't know this version. So, when something good begins to form in your life, they won't always recognize it. They'll reduce it. Maybe it's just timing. Don't get ahead of yourself. Be careful, it might not last. That's not always hate. Sometimes it's limitation. They can only interpret your life through their own experience. And if they've never seen something stable, something aligned, something real, they won't know how to name it. So they call it coincidence, or luck. Or they question it until you start questioning it too. That's why this matters. Because exposure too early creates pressure. And pressure changes behavior. You start explaining things that don't need explanation. Defending things that were clear before you spoke about them. Doubting things that were steady when they were quiet. So I keep it quiet. Not to isolate you, but to protect you. Now pay attention. This is where the shift happens. You've been taught that sharing everything is honesty, that if something is real, it should be visible. But growth doesn't work like that. A seed doesn't prove itself by breaking the soil too early. It stays hidden, not because it's weak, because it's developing. Same with you, same with this connection. It doesn't need validation from people who are not part of it. It needs space, it needs time, it needs protection from voices that don't understand what is being built. Now, let's tighten the rhythm. Stay with this. You don't have to post everything, you don't have to announce everything, you don't have to explain everything. Some things are meant to be lived before they are shared. And if you rush that process, you expose something that hasn't rooted yet. And unrooted things are fragile. So I teach you the power of restraint. Not silence from fear, silence from clarity. You know something is real, so you don't feel the need to prove it. That's different. Now, here's something more specific. Watch this closely. Think about the last time you shared something too early. A plan, a goal, a relationship. At first, it felt exciting. Then came opinions. Questions you didn't have answers to yet. Doubts you hadn't considered. Energy that shifted the way you saw it. And suddenly, what felt clear started to feel complicated. That's what premature exposure does. It introduces noise into something that needed stillness. So this time, I'm teaching you differently. Not everything needs an audience. Some things need alignment before announcement. Now, shift again, short, sharp. Your silence is not weakness, it's precision. You are learning to hold something without leaking it. That's stewardship. You don't talk about it every day. You don't seek validation for it. You don't measure it by how others respond. You let it grow, internally, steadily, quietly. And in that quiet, something strengthens. Your discernment. You start to notice who can handle depth and who can't, who listens and who interrupts, who supports and who subtly resists. Not everyone is against you, but not everyone is for you either. And wisdom is knowing the difference without needing to announce it. Now, one more shift. Don't drift here. Guarding the vision doesn't mean hiding in fear. It means you're selective. You choose who gets access. You choose what gets shared. You choose when something becomes visible. That's maturity, because once something is exposed, it can be influenced. And influence at the wrong stage can distort direction. So I guard your heart. Not by removing everything, but by teaching you what to allow in and what to keep out. You're not being secretive, you're being strategic. There's a difference. And when the time comes, when it's rooted, stable, undeniable, you won't need to convince anyone. It will speak for itself. Until then, let it grow in the quiet. You've heard everything. Now, don't miss the point. This was never about chasing a person. It was about becoming the version of you who can recognize, receive, and sustain what is real. So here's the takeaway. Clear and simple. Stay rooted. Stay aware. Stay disciplined in what you allow and what you ignore. If it's real, you won't have to force it. If it's aligned, you won't have to chase it. If it's from the right source, it will grow without confusion. Your job is not to control the outcome. Your job is to protect your clarity. That means, don't ignore red flags just because something feels intense. Don't overshare what is still forming. Don't go back to what already proved it cannot hold you. And most importantly, don't try to become the vine. Stay connected. Let growth come from the right source. Let peace be your signal, not chaos. Because at the end of all this, only one thing actually matters. Are you becoming someone who can hold something real, or are you still trying to make something unstable work? Answer that honestly, and you won't miss what's meant for you.